Hello, it's Pearl Howie here. Here to talk about harmful healing that goes on a lot. And I've shared recently a few tips, mainly on Instagram, about how to deal with migraine. And I wanted to do that just because it's such a big thing in my life, and I have found through research some tips and some ways of really helping. And even though my migraines are really bad and frequent at the moment, and there's only so much I can do about that. I have managed to get the symptoms right down, which is really great because I'm going through one of the periods in life when women suffer from more migraine, and it's not something you can really avoid, or at least I haven't found a way of avoiding it. So my approach is really to try and make the I can't avoid the frequency, but I can try and get the severity of those attacks, those migraine attacks, down and make them more livable. And I think if you ever suffer from any really painful um, illness, you'll know what I mean when I say that if I can get it down to the level where I can go to sleep or watch TV or take a shower, that's a really big thing. It makes it easier to get through, and that's that's really my sort of approach, and quite a sensible one. Oh, I'm sensible at the moment. But anyway, what I wanted to talk about is, perhaps because I'm sharing that, perhaps because people who know me are aware of how much this is impacting me, I have recently been hit with a lot of, hey, this is how you deal with migraine. Hey, this could be good for your migraine. Hey, this could help your migraine. And I'm sure that it's not just migraineurs or migraine sufferers who get that. Whatever your illness, whatever your problem, I know that there's a lot of healing out there. And today it really just annoyed me. So I thought I'd share this because what I wanted to do was explain a little bit about what's going on with that. And also to give you, if you like, some advice, because I am actually a shaman. And I know some people find that word problematic. So I'll just say as well, I'm actually trained. I've actually done an apprenticeship with Native American teachers, healers, shaman. And so I don't feel uncomfortable using that word about myself. The phrase I would really like to use, which resonates more with me, is that of wise woman, which is a way we can describe a lot of the people who in England, Wales and Scotland, who were killed because they were basically shaman back in the past. So people who were really focused and helped communities heal were basically called witches and hunted down. So I come from that tradition of, it's a really ancient tradition, really, of helping people to heal. And in some ways, it's not that complicated because what I've learned through the shaman training is it's things like dancing, it's things like singing, it's things like getting out and having exercise, it's things like getting out into nature. Really simple stuff that helps us heal. And that's a really important thing to look at no matter what's going on for us. See, I've got my lovely plant here, and the great Sir Henry Marsh, who was a brain surgeon, is a brain surgeon as far as I know, so practicing at St George's Hospital, created a garden on the roof for people who had actually had brain surgery, because we discovered that it really helped relieve pain and it really helped people to recover and to heal faster just by being in green spaces. Same thing if we put on relaxing music, sound of ocean waves, things like that. We know it works, we know it helps from a clinical point of view. And some of that stuff is so simple and basic, things like eating healthy foods. And for myself, even though I was saying about the migraine and what I'm doing, one of the things I realised is because I've actually been doing better with my migraine and my symptoms, I got a little bit worse about actually getting out and doing exercise and getting out and doing my green walks and things like that. So it's something I'm reminding myself now to do my best, do a little bit better, get out, have those little walks, at least an hour every day, getting out, being in the green space, because it really, really does help with basic health and those really severe conditions as well. Okay, so the basic stuff, staying hydrated, all that kind of stuff, also really, really helps with, you know, the worst kind of conditions that we can have. All right, so we've got to make sure we don't lose sight of the basics. Okay, so why I really wanted to talk about this was because I know, because every time I go online, or even, you know, sometimes walking around, you know, and I walk into a shop or there's adverts and all this stuff, and it's like, you can heal your life, you can do this, you can fix this, you can do that. And it's quite distracting, you know, and actually what it is distracting us from real healing. It's distracting us from what we really want, which is what is really actually going to help me. And that's because, you know, a lot of it is people want likes, people want attention, you know, people want followers, subscribers, all that kind of stuff. So often we get a lot of, hey, come do this, hey, come do it. Same thing in life coaching, anything like that. And it's all about, hey, come and do this. This is a life hack. This is going to help you. This is going to help you. And we're all different people. Our bodies are different. So something might help one person or a small group of people, might not be good for everybody else. What's really important is that we don't pick up and do the things that are going to be harmful to us, okay? Number one, safety first. I love getting out on the beach. I love an ocean walk. That's one thing that really helps me. Beware of the sun. Beware of the bad weather. Yesterday, I ended up on the beach. I actually went to the doctor's. I'll talk more about that in a minute. So I was sitting on the beach, middle of the day, because there was no bus. I was like, okay, I'm going to go right down to the beach because maybe there'll be some air here. And it was wonderful. It was really great air. It was lovely. The waves were huge. It was a beautiful, beautiful sunny day, but the waves were so crashing, so powerful that it was really dangerous. It was really dangerous. And there were people who were in the waves, young kids, things like that. And their parents were all like pulling them out. They'd go in and they'd go, no, that's bad. We've got to be aware. So when we say, yes, get out and do your wild swimming, yes, get out and do your cold water swimming, double check that. Make sure it's right for you. Make sure it's safe, okay? It's so important. I actually got into the waves a little bit later, you know, when the tide had calmed down a little bit, and in a safer spot, moved down, safer spot. And I was in about up to my knees, my thigh, and the waves were above my head. So really pretty, and that's very close to the shore. So, and they knocked me over several times, which was okay for me because I was in very shallow water, and I was very careful. But unfortunately, it may be that somebody was washed out to sea the day before yesterday. I think there's still a little bit of hope that somebody who was lost at sea a couple of days ago may be okay. We don't know. But we've had the Coast Guard out. And this is, you know, we're talking about really, really hot days. Somebody was young, somebody who probably was a very good swimmer. And we just hope that this person survives, you know. So we have to be really, really careful when we're doing stuff, that we do it safely. And it's hard because sometimes we are desperate. I know that sometimes I get desperate with migraine, looking for a solution, looking for an answer. And it's really tempting, you know. And there's an expression that goes back to, I think, the Americas and, you know, the days of the Wild West, when people were called snake oil salesmen. So somebody would roll up into town in their old little wagon and they would start selling some stuff out the back of their wagon. Oh, this is amazing snake oil, da 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 da. And it was probably something not good for you, probably harmful, possibly alcoholic, you know, because you give somebody a shot of vodka or whiskey or something mixed up, Pretty makes them feel good for a couple of days. But it doesn't help in the long run. If I said to you, what's really good for migraine? Well, how about some morphine? Oh, great. It's not going to help in the long run. It's going to help immediately, but it's not sustainable. And it's probably got more harmful long-term effects. And that's what we're often looking at with medicine. Have we got something that we can take or use that's not going to make us feel worse in the long run? Okay. And it was funny, I went to see my GP yesterday about the migraines, my first time, really nice chap. And what I did before I went was I actually went through all my notes, what I've been doing. I rewatched on YouTube a video by one of the professors who deals in menstrual migraine to remind myself of everything that she said. And even watching it again, I picked up on more things. So I knew going into that meeting with that GP, which medications I couldn't take, okay, which would be right for other people with migraine. But because of the type of migraine I have, no, that wasn't going to be helpful and possibly would make things worse for me. And believe me when I tell you, when I'm watching it and somebody goes, this can make migraine worse. No, I don't want that. I don't want that. Okay, but I'm watching it and I'm also listening to what they're talking about. This is what happens in a clinical setting. This is what happens when we study this. And one thing that I think a lot of people don't realize about being a wise woman, a shaman, you might call somebody who is involved in healing, is that we are first and foremost, but we are scientists, And it's hard sometimes to separate the people who are just making stuff up or who are misinformed and actual scientists. Because even scientists make mistakes. As we see with so many things that we've had over the years, we've thought were good ideas that turned out to be not good ideas. Okay. And it kind of ties in with the book that I'm working on at the moment, which is my audio book, Camino de la Luna Truth. And the quote that I have on the back of the book is by Richard Feynman, who was a very famous physicist. And it is that the first thing is that you must not fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool, okay? And one of the things that he did and he talked about was that most experiments are set up wrong. So when people go and do clinical studies, when people go and do clinical trials, very often the way it's set up is it will give you a false result. It will give you a fake result. And that's for a lot of different reasons, okay? And one of them, really big one that you will know about, is because of the placebo effect, okay? And the placebo effect is, what we know is that if somebody tries anything, very often they'll experience a positive result. Because our mind, body, spirit works in such a way that if we say, hey, here, take this medicine, it's going to make you feel better, very often we have an improvement based on that, okay? And it's very, very common with migraine, because migraine often is made worse by stress, is made worse by, other factors as well. So if we say, here, take this sugar pill that will make you feel better, sometimes we do. The other thing to remember about migraine is that sometimes it's actually the sugar that makes us feel better. So it's not really a placebo effect, it's actually a sugar effect, which we have. But the important thing, and the really important thing about this video and what I'm trying to say today, is you have to be an advocate for your own health and your own healing, okay? Because there are so many people out there who are going to be doing videos telling you stuff that you should be doing for your fitness, for your health, and you know what I'm talking about. As soon as I go on anything, oh, this will help you. I get your videos, you get your emails, you get this. Half of it doesn't apply to you, but still, they come. Here's how you lose belly fat. Here's how you do this. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. But in amongst that, you're also going to get the things that are offering stuff that you really want and need. Solution to migraine. And it's really tempting sometimes to reach out and grab onto those things that are not just useless, but are also dangerous, okay? So, and I think, I had an appointment on the phone with renal registrar recently, talking about my follow-up, my kidney health, which is okay, it's fine. And what's great about that is I also talk about what I'm taking for migraine, and I say, is it okay? Is this all right? And they say, you know what? You're fine, but don't do this. And one of the things that this doctor said to me is, don't take high doses of vitamin D. Don't take high doses of iron, because these things can damage your kidneys. And we've seen that. We've seen that in clinic with people who have followed online videos from doctors, whether they're real doctors or not. Real doctors also can be full of it, honestly, because half the stuff is prescribed and it's wrong. And a lot of the times I've been given misinformation from the GP, from the doctors, because they know a certain amount. And I have to say, the guy I saw yesterday, pretty well informed. I was quite impressed. And when he suggested certain things, I said, you know what, I'm going to go away and do some research on that. When I suggested other things, he said, no, we're not allowed to prescribe that. Okay, so we're going to refer you. But it was a good conversation because neither one of us was saying, hey, I have the answer, I know the answer. We were like, it was a conversation about, will this be helpful, will this not be helpful, okay? And unfortunately, at the moment, we know there is no magic bullet for migraines. I've spoken, there's another video I have which tells you about some of the things I've used. A lot of them are clinically proven, but they're still only clinically proven for, a majority. So they're not going to work for everyone, okay? And we know there are some people that will try everything that is useful and it still won't work for them, okay? It's not their fault. It's not my fault if stuff doesn't work for me. But I have to be really careful about not jumping in and doing everything that random people tell me to do. So the one I had this morning was when you have a migraine, and this is what I'm saying, is like, I haven't tried this, but it seems like complete nonsense to me and it seems dangerous, so I'm going to share it, which is, and this was a woman with a kettle, get the hottest water you can, put it in a plastic bucket and stick your feet in it, because it's going to open up your blood vessels. Okay. Number one, when I get a migraine, all right, or if I'm sick, if I've got flu, something like that, I have to be really careful, because it's very easy for me to do stupid stuff. It's very easy for me to trip over, to bang myself on the door handle. I sometimes can't really take a shower because I'm feeling too dizzy. And I'm scared that I would fall and hurt myself in the shower. So I have to be very careful. Also, sometimes I might think something's a really good idea. It'd be very easy for me to lock myself out of the house, do something like that if I decided, I have to be very slow and very careful when I have a migraine, or before and after sometimes. Those are funny states. So the last thing I would do is be messing around with boiling water and trying to put my feet in it, because that could be dangerous. I could actually damage my feet, hurt my feet. The other thing is that the idea of opening up blood vessels in the brain and that's going to sort your migraine out, that's been debunked already. Okay, that was what we used to think migraine was all about, blood vessels. So a lot of the older ideas about this is how you improve migraine are to do with, I need to open up the blood vessels. We now know that's not what it's about, okay? So we know that it's actually a neurological condition. It's actually to do with the brain. And we now know from brain scans which parts of the brain are actually involved in migraine activity, okay? So if people are seeing an improvement with this, number one, putting your feet in warm water is probably quite nice and relaxing, okay? Often helps, relaxing things may help. Also, that placebo effect. But the last thing I would do is do something that could hurt me, or make my life more difficult. So we need to be really, really careful with these kind of what we might call old wives' tales. Now, what we do know is that the old wives, or the wise women, had a lot of good stuff going on. So there was a lot of healing that we kind of threw out that's actually very effective. So for example, certain herbs, certain smells, things like that can really help with pain management. Okay, so when we make green tea, who knew green tea is fantastic for me, for migraine, especially when it's like a menstrual migraine as well. It's really, really helpful at that time. Okay, so we've got to be careful that our old wives' tales are actually the good ones. We're using the good old wives' tales and not just stuff we've made up. But don't tell people necessarily, because that placebo effect might be helping them. If it's useful for you, if it works for you, great. That's really, really good. But we need to be careful if we're sharing stuff that it's not harmful. It's not going to be harmful to people. So, carrying on from that. It's funny, I said to my grandma last week, so one of the things I've done recently, another thing that we often use a lot is antibiotics. Do antibiotics work? Of course they do. But sometimes they don't work on a specific infection. Sometimes the side effects outweigh the benefits. And sometimes we react to antibiotics as well. So there's a lot going on there. The other thing, of course, is the more we use antibiotics, sometimes bacteria develop a resistance to that. So we have to be really careful with them. And I have managed, although, I've been very lucky to be able to manage without antibiotics for about 13 years, more than 13 years. And that's really with trying to just manage infections and things like that in different ways. And one of those ways is actually using Manuka honey. Okay, so it's actually something you can really look into, and it has a lot of scientific basis behind the use of Manuka honey. In England, we use a shop called Holland & Barrett, and they are really well informed on that, and that's really, really useful. You can learn a lot from them. Boots, not so much. They don't really do the alternative stuff so much. But this is something that actually there are studies, and they're starting to use it in hospitals because it is so powerful antibacterially, and also it's not so tough on our bodies. So we can be, and what I found is I was taking antibiotics for chest infections, and they were recurrent. So I would just get over one and there will be another one. And, so I wanted something different. And that's when I started on the Manuka honey. And I found that very, very useful. And in fact, this year I nearly had to go on antibiotics for a tonsillitis type thing. It just would not shift. And I started on Manuka honey lozenges. And that seemed to really do the trick. Okay. It could again have been just that I was at the end of it and it just gave me that little kick. But there are all those studies backing up the use of Manuka honey. So I would definitely recommend it. And I've actually recommended it, and I'm helping a family member to start using it because they suffer from recurrent infections. And I was talking to my grandma and she said, "You need to write a book about all these things." And I went, "I already wrote a book." And this is my book it's over 500 different types of healing. And every single one of those is something that I have tried and tested, okay? And that's what I wanted to do, because when I started out, and it was about 13 years ago, getting massages and things like that, I got really confused. And often I would go places and I would have bad experiences. So what I wanted to do was to create, and I guess I never expected it would get this big, but a way to help people to find great healing. And the funny thing is it's actually massage, meditation, spa treatments, teachers, practices, and places as well. So all kinds of healing, because I've learned as well that sometimes just going to a place can be incredibly healing. That's why we go to places of spiritual significance. And very often those places are very, very personal. So we have the very famous ones like Sedona, trying to give us more ones, you know, but really amazing places around the world where we can go. But sometimes it's going to the places that are very personal to us, that allow healing and allow us to come back and to reconcile with things. So, for example, I went and I travelled to where my ancestors come from up in Scotland and found a Howie Museum. Oh, and I didn't know it was there. I literally just turned up to look for a monument and found a whole museum. And that was incredibly healing for me, to heal with my lineage, you know, my father's side. And one of the things I see a lot is, and my next book that I'm recording, Reconciliation, is all about reconciling ourselves, with our lineage, with our ancestors, and who we are. And a lot of people have separation, distance with their lineage and their often fathers. And sometimes that's something that needs to be healed. And when we think about psychotherapy, we know that it's very important for a lot of us to go and to examine, to look at anything that we are not, we've not fully healed, we've not fully dealt with or reconciled. And I think that book will be very helpful to a lot of people. And I'm at the moment really looking to see, is there anything in my life that isn't healed, that I haven't dealt with, that might be making my migraines worse? Because we are always mind, body, and spirit. Okay, so I think it is important to look, is there, you know, do I need to go and have some therapy? Do I need to read a particular book? Do I need to grieve for something that I have still, you know, blocked and repressed? All of these things can have an impact on our physical health, our mental health, our spiritual health. It's important to remember that we are one. But anyway, this book is really big and really useful. I might be doing something, I might be cutting it down into different sections because I would like to do an audiobook, and it's a big one to do an audiobook. So I might be looking at something different there. But one of the things I wanted to share with that is I went and had a lot of massages. Poor me, it was so difficult. But anyway, all the massages, and I told you what it was like. But sometimes, obviously, I'm just having one experience. So you could go to the same spa, you could have the same massage therapist, and you could have a completely different experience. In fact, I've gone back to spas and had a completely different experience the second time, the third time. So it's not, you know, you can't look at this and go, hey, this is exactly what it is, because we're natural beings, we live in a natural world. Things change, things are never the same. And that's another thing as well, you know, looking at, you know, we might have medicine and it affects us in different ways. But for example, food, sometimes we'll eat something and it's wonderful for us. Another day we get a bad lobster or a bad something and it affects us really badly. So we always have to be aware of all of these things. And the most important thing as a shaman, the biggest truth that we have, and I want to share with you, is that the answers are within you. You know, that wisdom of taking care of your health is within you. Yes, please reach out. I mean, I didn't write this book because I'm not saying don't reach out or don't try different things or don't try something you don't necessarily believe in. Go off and do it, but please do it safely. If you're going to do something like hypnotherapy, make sure you find somebody who is really trustworthy to do it with, okay? If you're going to do psychotherapy, make sure you find somebody that you really trust. If you're going to go to a fitness class, make sure you either trust that person or you have the confidence to walk out of the room if they ask you to do something that's not right for you, okay? Trust, but trust safely, okay? I'm here, I'm doing this because I want to see us all heal. I do. Heal, not harm. Okay, so please, I just really wanted to share this because, you know, it makes me so mad when I see and hear these tips that are sent to me. Because I've done the research, I know that they are rubbish. Okay, maybe I'm wrong, I could be wrong, but I also know that it's really important that we don't just walk to the medicine cabinet or the pharmacy and just start taking everything. Okay, and the same thing is true of spiritual healing, of mental healing, mental health. You know, we have this huge burst of people offering stuff for our mental health, and some of it is so great, but some of it can be really harmful. And I think you just need to stop a minute, and think. Again, so for example, if I was going to start therapy with a psychotherapist, you know, what would my level of due diligence be? I would want to check that they had some training. I would want to check that they they were qualified. I want to check that, you know, that maybe they've got an association. I want to check that I feel safe in this environment that I'm going to sit in and talk to somebody. Even if it's on a Zoom call, even if it's something like that, I want to check these things. And the moment I don't feel safe is the moment I walk out the door. Okay, so number one, make sure you feel safe to leave and leave. Okay, same thing with medication. If there's a moment where you don't feel that it's the right thing for you, or that it might be making you worse, you have a way to speak to a doctor, talk to a pharmacist. Make sure you know how to stop taking things, because unfortunately some medications, when you stop taking them, you have a lot of side effects as well. So that's what I'm trying to be careful with my migraines, is that anything that I take is not going to create some kind of addiction for me, or have horrible side effects when I stop taking them. It's tough sometimes because these drugs can be quite complicated. But these are the things. So saying this about psychotherapy, making sure we check things out. I mean, that's why I did this book, because I wanted to check out a lot of spas and give people information on not how you should feel when you go into a spa, but like really to empower you, like saying, okay, look at the cleanliness, look at how it smells, listen to your wisdom, your inner wisdom, because that wisdom is within you. And so I'm talking this about psychotherapy. Somebody doesn't have to be a psychotherapist to be somebody you can talk to, somebody who can be helpful and healing. I know, from my training and from being a shaman and from having that lineage, that my nature is such that if I go and stand by a bus stop or walk along the shore, very often somebody will come up to me and talk to me. And very often, I mean, it's happened to me in like the stationery store, that I'm standing there and somebody will come and tell me something that's really bothering them, something, the kind of revelation you would normally see in a psychotherapist's office. So somebody will come up and start talking to me. The next thing I know, they've told me about their childhood trauma. And they'll say, I don't know why I'm telling you this. I've never told anybody else. And that's because it's my nature. And I know that I don't have to listen to everybody, and I'm not gonna, if you come up and see me in the street, don't do it. But it's part of the nature of who we are, that sometimes you're going to find you end up talking to somebody about something and having, that almost that psychotherapeutic moment of release, of releasing a secret. Yeah. And you've done no due diligence. You've done no due diligence. This is what it's like when I'm recording the audiobook. It's like some phrases get me, And I'll be sitting there for ages going, due diligence. Oh, I did it. There you go. But sometimes you need to do that. Sometimes, sometimes you need to check people out and know that they've got all the credentials and that kind of thing. Sometimes it's a stranger and you experience something so wonderfully healing about that relationship. Yeah. But of course, when you're doing that, there's something magical and wonderful about that. But in the same way, you also have to be careful that you're not sharing information, sharing things with somebody who is going to use it against you or who might be looking out to sort of take advantage. But that's when you trust your heart. You just trust your heart and your heart won't steer you wrong, okay? So yeah, that's really what I wanted to talk about, is just trust yourself. Most importantly, trust yourself, listen to your heart. And I think one of the hardest things about all of this is when we're in pain and we've got conditions and we want to just be free of that, we want to just move on, it's so tempting to reach out and grab onto anything, you know. And that's why there are so many snake oil salesmen and women. There are so many people. And I still get hooked on it sometimes. I look out and somebody goes, oh, this thing, that thing. And I'll be like reading it or watching it. And it doesn't work. You know, and sometimes it doesn't work because they're wrong. And sometimes it doesn't work because it's a DIY tip and I don't have that level of expertise. Or maybe because I don't really know what the problem is. You know, because I'm trying to fix one thing and it's actually something else that's going on. But we just do our best, don't we? We do our best. And I don't know, I feel like I'm trying to sell you this book and that's really not my intention. But I think it's, you know, the time it took to do this and put it together, it was very healing for me. And what I love about it is when I'm feeling lost and I come back to my books and I read it, I go, oh yeah, I remember that now. Because there's so many answers sometimes, we just forget all the answers. So that's why I wrote it down. And it's nice to be able to go back to things and remember. It's like looking at photos, you remember, oh yeah, that really helped, that made me feel good. And I really, really hope, I think the thing is, as soon as you start looking for healing, as soon as you start opening up your heart and listening and exploring, you know, health processes and healing, you can't fail, you know, you can't fail. Because there is so much healing out there. There are so many things that will make us feel better. And usually when I'm doing something, I think, okay, well, I use aromatherapy when I've got migraines. But I just think, what if I try and use it more? What if I try and use it differently? What if I think about other things in terms of aromatherapy? And again, coming back to those basics, I find things, I think, oh, yes, I can do more there. You know, I can always eat more ginger. And ginger is a really clinically proven substance that actually helps with migraine. So I look at that and I go, okay, let me put some ginger stuff on me. Let me drink some ginger tea. Let me drink some ginger ale. And let me chop up some ginger as well. The problem is when I've got a migraine, I often forget this stuff. So doing this video has been really helpful to me because it reminds me, ginger. I need to write it on the cupboard. Ginger, go ginger. And I'll try and do that even more when I get my little migraines. Okay, take care of you. I hope you have a great day. I hope this helps. And most importantly, I hope you don't go and do something stupid because somebody else stupid told you to do it on the internet. Because we're not lemmings. You know, we're not lemmings. We don't have to do what other people, we don't have to be sheep. Don't be a sheep. Don't do that. Think for yourself, feel for yourself, listen to your heart, and you will discover the answers that are within you. Take care. Bye.